Yeah, I'm eating them yum-yums, baby.
How long of a breakfast do you take, Fletch? Jesus.
Right? That's funny. All right, so basically, I guess everyone's had a good week. Corey, it's been an adventure over there. You guys are sick, huh?
Yeah, we're just getting over the coronavirus, evidently.
Corona.
Yeah.
Even after you got your shot?
No, I didn't take a shot.
I'm just joking. Yeah.
I know.
I got it after mine.
I'm part of the control group on that.
Yeah.
I think I had it for a second, and then I took a bunch of ivermectin horse paste the first day, and I woke up fine. And then it's just like,
how do you take that? Do you take it as like anally, or do you snort it? Yeah.
No, the word is rectally, Brad. Rectal.
I was trying to think of that word, but suppository was what I was trying to think of.
No, you just eat it.
Anal was the first thing that came to mind. Yeah, you eat it.
You take your weight, and then you take your weight worth, and call it good. But yeah, it hit my wife a lot harder. I took her to the hospital yesterday.
Really?
Because she passed out. We were walking her to the bathroom, and she just collapsed.
Damn. Was she dehydrated at all?
No, she's been. I don't know if she just didn't have enough food or whatever, but they checked her lungs, they x-rayed her, they did all that, EKG, blood work, and everything turned out fine. So they let her come home. She's feeling better today, though. Yeah, it was.
It sounds scary, but not nearly as scary. It all depends on what you compare it to. Not nearly as scared as Craig is to get in the ring with me. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, anything.
Are they going to let him out of the country?
I think
they're gonna. There's ways to get in. So if he doesn't come, he's gonna be a little bit. We know what he's doing.
He can fly to Cuba, and then take a tire, kind of like the over in the 90s.
He can come up through the southern border anytime.
There you go.
That's right. That's right. All right, I do want to jump through this article here. So Google is kind of funny. By hook or crook, Craig says. Cuba.
Yeah, that's right.
And so basically they came out and they've got this beautiful suggestion of an audit for us. So we'll go over this. So they released the
Search Engine Journal. They got something good on there?
No.
Oh, Search Engine Journal's always got good stuff, dude. It's always got it. No.
I just can't read, so that leaves me out.
What I found interesting, dude, is that they put it into a 3-step approach. So this is actually the post on Google Dev that came out like 3 days ago. And it essentially says evaluate the website, debug it, and then monitor and continually update, right? And I think what's interesting is that the continually update part has been a big topic of people's. It's been on people's.
Are they talking about the website as a whole, individual pages, all of the above?
So basically what they're doing here is we can go through it right there. So for the overview of Approach A, the developers carrying out the audit are advised to ask themselves the following questions at this point of the audit to keep the process focused. What is the performance of the site? Does it require attention? Have things gotten better or worse recently? And then what pages, device, and metrics should be prioritized, right?
Hey, can we back up real quick, though, Mike? And let's say, how does somebody know that they're going to have to go through this kind of audit? Do you want to pull up that screenshot that I sent you from Core Web Vitals in GSC?
Yeah, I can pull that up, dude. Let me.
Or I mean, just so somebody has an idea to know, like, oh, maybe I should take a look at this because here's where Google's telling me to look.
Yep, I will pull it up. You put it in this chat, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Mike, when you get a chance, can you put the Search Engine Journal URL into the chat?
It's in the description, but I'll drop it.
It's in the description, Glenn.
It's right there, baby. We're all professional for you today.
I forgot my tie.
All right.
Wouldn't do any good. I can't tie it.
So yeah, when you log into Google Search Console on the left side of your screen, you'll see Web Vitals.
Yep. You do. And I've been some of the accounts we have, I've had this in there quite a long time, actually been looking at these reports for quite a long time. And what's interesting, I think, on this list here, and you were asking, how do we know if we have to do it? Well, my answer to that's actually going to be like the way that it is, and they say what pages and device and metrics should be prioritized. And as you go through this and you look at like what C is, and we'll come back to this and talk about the tools, but they talk about it's a loop right here, right? Monitor and develop, okay? That's a big, like, should be a big clue to people that this is not something that you do once. This is like part of your SEO. And I think we've gone into it on here. This ties directly into what is happening in these updates. And it means that it literally ties into like giving us the clue here. And when they talk about it on their article, they actually talk about real user monitoring. Are you guys familiar with real user monitoring is?
I don't do SEO, so no.
No, right? Like Crazy, right? Like we want to know what the user's doing. We want to convert it, right? That's what real user monitoring is essentially. There's more to it, but we can look at it like knowing what everything that the user is doing. And for those of out there that don't know, there's something called Crux, which is the Chrome Real User Experience Report, or whatever. I forget the. You know what? I think I have it up for the actual Crux report. We can get to it through here probably. Where you at, Crux? But they
got the mask mandates back where you guys are now?
No, dude, we won't have it.
Just did in my county. Oh, you don't listen to them anyway. They just did in my county, vaccinated or not vaccinated. I'm like, I'm not wearing a mask.
No way.
These people are crazy.
Yeah, you better be there, dude. Craig.
Yeah.
The Chrome User Experience Report, the Crux report, is essentially like the dev tools. We've gone over this in the members webinars, right? And people talk about safe search this, and there's all these things that people talk about, but realistically, when it comes to what Google can see, is they can see absolutely everything that anyone's doing on any website, and that's what it comes down to. Like, if they can track first input delay, if they can track cumulative layout shift and FID and all of that, like those three things that they say are just the part of what they're doing with the core Web Vitals updates, I think it's really important to realize that they see all this data, and like that gets tied into a lot of stuff, right? They can make decisions, they can evaluate the benefit of a backlink based on different things if they want to. I'm not saying they're doing all of it right now. They can, right? And so the loop is important. And when it says to look at each page and device and see what should be prioritized, prioritized means like at that time, not necessarily only those. We're not going to, I mean, are you going to optimize for a single page or device, Corey? Only?
Are we going to what?
Are you ever going to optimize only for a single page or device on a
no,
website?
never.
Focus on one thing.
I mean, only when it comes to like content for individual content pieces, but no.
Right. But you're not going to build a website that's, I mean, you're not going to build it for BlackBerry or whatever, and that's the only thing you're
BlackBerry.
Oh, right. Yeah,
one of my last choices.
No, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing is that most of your CMSs today, they've already got a lot of stuff that's automatically built in to resize images and
responsive.
Exactly. And so I think what people need to start thinking about is like, really, why are they looking at all this data? Like, what's the important point?
Hey, we've got a question. How do you spell SEO, Mike?
I don't
Michael
know.
wanted to know.
I have no idea, actually. Yeah. I literally have no idea.
Sorry, he asked. I didn't
hard
know.
one,
I
dude.
thought I'd ask you.
Very, very hard one.
Let's check SEO.
So this is where you want to go. So this is the approach A is evaluate web health and identify pain points. So what's a freaking pain point?
Are you asking what it is in general or something that hurts?
Well, I think anything that affects you, things that affect user experience are going to be things that you already know. Like for me, a big one would either be like speed or cumulative layout shift. Like those are some things that really affect the user experience probably more than most things, I would say.
Shopping carts, I have fucked up a lot of sales for people, for me, you know. Like if I'm going through a shopping cart on my phone and it's not like mobile optimized, then I'm going to get out of there. Or tell myself I'm going to do it next time I get to the computer. Yeah, and then I never do. So.
Yep, that's another good one. But I mean, as far as stuff
also, yeah, go ahead, Corey.
Well, stuff that actually affects, not just conversion, but like when your rankings start to uh, reflect something that Google is identifying on site that is, usually has to do with how people are interacting with the site. Those things can be corrected from, database issues, like if you've got a really slow server or some certain things like that. And one particular, I'm hoping that really is going to help be one of the fixes. But
There is
Is that Robin?
golf. I want to see if I can find this URL again. I wanted to show an exact the exact situation without showing some of the live campaigns. So while I'm thinking about where I can find that, basically we've had multiple situations where we get a website, it's going really well. It's ranking on the topic and the relevance and the intent and everything. And then all of a sudden there is a tech issue and the render is blocked, right? Like literally, I don't know if people have noticed what they've been doing in the cache when you check cache results and everything. But they're starting to see things very differently and display things differently than they have in the past. And you'll start to see like actual errors in the way it's displaying in the cache. And that's that final render that they're looking at for that final user. And we're seeing sites be shut off from their rankings almost instantly when that content is not available to the user. And so these are like restricted markets, like markets that have been having some of this stuff happen for a lot longer than other markets, right? And so when they are able to take a look at a page and then say, okay, this page is definitely relevant, this score is amazingly relevant for this topic and this query, but oh shit, no one can see the content, bang, the ranking's gone, and then you fix it and bang, the ranking's back. So this is definitely user experience in my opinion, right? Like, I mean, what else is that there? They know the topic is on point. But does it being on point and does the topic matter at all if a user can't find what it wants? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? I mean, what's your thought, Corey? You can't hear?
He's in Skype. Corey comes on the show just to look pretty.
He's deaf.
Yeah.
no, sorry, I was.
What's your thought, Brad? Fuck you, Corey.
I wasn't listening. No, it sounds like user experience. I mean, if there's no content on the page, how is your clickback going to look? And then your ranking.
Well, the content's on the page. It's in the code, right? It's all there. It's not hidden. It's just a broken page. You can't see it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, if they can't see it, you're still going to get the clickback. Yeah,
right.
So.
You sent me on a rabbit trail, Mike. I was grabbing a render of one of the pages that I know has trouble, and on the desktop is 99%. The mobile is actually what is slowed down, and these are not pages that are AMP, but they also like they render fine. But I'm still getting that some of these are showing up in that. That need help in the Core Web Vitals. So
I've been looking at that Core Web Vital report. I want to say this right now. The Core Web Vital report, the page experience report, like most of my stuff is 100% not good URLs in its ranking. Like that's not what I'm saying right there. I'm talking that report. I haven't seen that correlate to anything yet for myself. I'm only addressing the fact when they obviously have hit the site and they have there's an issue with an overlay or there's an issue where their final render capture is actually blocking the content in the viewport. And that's where we see the change at is where they cannot see the content in the final render. And that doesn't mean that that's not working when another user hits it, because I can visit the same site and get the full thing. There are things going on, and that's why there's like issues, I think, if they're going to go this way and they're going to roll it out everywhere. And I'm not saying they are. I just know it's happening in certain restricted markets right now. If they do roll this out right now, there are issues, because I've seen it not be a problem for a lot of users, but still be, and that's how they rendered it. And it has still affected the websites, right? And so it's interesting to me that they can get that granular, and it's important to understand how fast they can turn it on or off. Like people have been we talk about fast updates lately. The data that they can turn on and off and switch, and they can score this stuff so quick now. They sped up so much, it's ridiculous, you know? It's interesting, actually. How long have you been, like, did they, I thought those, that a lot of the reports have been there forever. Have they not been there forever in different markets?
No, I've seen them come at different times and for.
Well, yeah, but so some popped up today. You're saying, you think, or yesterday? There's some that popped up.
Some URLs popped up in a report that was already in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. It's
what do you think of Clint's comment, Mike?
Let me see. No, they are having rendering issues, and here's the thing. They're still doing it. We have an issue going on right now. I've seen it for about 8 months now. So it's happening. There's no question in my mind, to be honest. Googlebot is having issues always, of course. They also are rolling this stuff out 100%. And it's been there for quite a while. And it's very, very clear when it happens and when they see it, and you can see it directly over certain markets that are restricted, and that they've been focusing on rolling different metrics into since last August, I would say, for like 12 months is what they've been doing. And it's slowly creeping out into other stuff. I should have dropped you in here, Clint. I'm going to drop you a link here in a second. Let's jump down to the next little portion there, which is, so the Crux dashboard, extremely interesting. And I know people, and actually before we go on, Corey, you mentioned AMP. And one of the things that I wanted to point out was that with the page experience update, they made a shift on their prefetch and focus onto like signed server exchanges, SXG, over AMP. And so AMP is really not a needed factor anymore whatsoever.
Was it ever?
What's that? No, I mean, for certain display, yes. I mean, if you wanted certain things like top stories and shit, you needed it. You don't need that stuff anymore. You haven't for a month and a half, 2 months or whatever in a lot of markets. Most of them, actually. That's when I think most of it rolled out. And so with AMP, there's no reason for me to even touch it ever. Not that I ever really cared, to be honest, because it just didn't affect our campaigns. But right now, there's a
lot of SEO gurus used it as a kind of a hook. Learn AMP. Yeah, and then fucking never really. I didn't give a shit. I didn't see the money in it, so never did it.
No, yeah, there's a market we're in right now that's a top 5 CPC market.
Which one, Mike? Tell everyone.
Which one?
I'm just joking.
One of them. It's one of the marijuana ones. I
never actually check. I always say top 5 CPC, top 3 CPC.
I don't know what they
I just know it's tough. Yeah, I have no clue. But it's got to be one of the toughest. I know which one you're talking about, but I'm gonna actually look that up. Go on.
And we're having an issue right now with the exact thing, and it'll be back up on the next cache date. And that's what's interesting is the cache date is traditionally where they have been able to fix it, which is tying into certain things with errors, but they've been doing it directly in this market for a while. And they started seeing it. I started seeing it in travel. I think that was about a month ago is when they started doing it there. And so, and that was that's over overseas, but it's been very interesting to see them drop the score completely and take the rank score completely off and then rescore it again. And I'm waiting to see it in some of the like lower end markets, but I don't really know if it's coming anytime soon. It's just, to me, it's very interesting with what they are able to see and what the core web vitals actually mean. And so the big issue that I think we have here is that loop down at the bottom. The loop down at the bottom is where I think most people are getting hit. And have you ever seen a campaign stay static, or even see text stay static on a campaign, Corey?
No. No, like there's always going to be like for just, I think when you have competition that doesn't stay static, then that's a big thing that actually drives what you should be doing on your campaigns as well. But you know, like there's certain markets that I've been in where you know, the content on the ranking page, either it's like it's being syndicated from other spots on the website,
Yeah.
or they just, so it's constantly being updated from that standpoint. And then, but even what I've seen them when they completely change out the tech stack, that certain I guess if they do it right, then things really do jump, just depending on what's behind the, you know, what's under the hood. So like that kind of, to me, says that like there is a time and place when you're like when you're not blocking anything, as far as like all of the tech that comes out, that there's no rendering issues, that stuff actually does help, right? Like it lets Google know where all the assets are coming from. And like those are some things that I've seen when it's like, if you're talking about like things staying static, like there's a lot of moving parts that some of them you can't even see.
No, you need to get in, Clint. I'm talking to Clint. I told him to get in. He needs to come debate here.
Get in where you fit in.
Get in where you fit in, Clint. It's a good song. No, Corey, I don't think anything stays static. And I think that one of the big things that people are seeing right now is that they are trying to stay static when everything is speeding up around them. And I think that's been one of the biggest issues for people that have been in SEO for a while, to start shifting. And when they, you know, I've seen a lot of people click even just this week and make fixes, and they're literally on the upturn again, and they fix their traffic graph like within 3 or 4 days. Like I've got a lot of insights from console that are like your new content's within in the index and pulling users within blah 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 20 hours, 18 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, right? Like they'll give you this data when you have certain things unlocked in the account, like certain things going on, and you can see how quick this stuff has stepped up. Not that it hasn't been fast, but it's getting so much faster, you know. And it's a lot of fun actually to watch how quick it can happen. And I'm excited this year for that event.
So, Mike, when things do change, like let's say intent for a query changes, and you had some really good rankings, and then all of a sudden, like, what would be the first thing that you looked at? Let's say you had something that's in like top 3 or number 1 position, and it drops to page 2 or page 3 like overnight. What are some of the first things that you're going to look at?
Like from just a generic standpoint of like me doing a campaign that I'm working on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, are you going to look at the intent, like the content that's on there? Are you going to look at the tech stack? What are you going to check?
The first thing I always do is look to see who's up in the front now. That's like that's what I always go look at. I see if my search has changed. Like honestly, that's always going to be like, I don't immediately, like the way I've always done SEO is to look at the most obvious things first. And to me, that's one of the quickest things that can change, especially with how fast they're moving right now. I am seeing them change their understanding of certain SERPs like seriously overnight. And I've seen it go from, you know, a very universal heavy query with, you know, video, like just video with moments all over it. And it's just a list of this. And then as they start to pick it up, like the next day or two, now it's shifted and there's no more moments. There's one video. Like they are going quick. And the way that they do this is that they are using, and this is not a question. It's not a if they are. Everything in that SERP bids for a spot on that page. So even Google's own content bids for a spot on the front page of Google. Okay, so videos bid for a spot on the main page.
Right.
The books will bid for a spot. Images bid for a spot. Like they know and they watch all of this usage. And there is like, I don't know how they do it. I'm not claiming to understand how they do it, but there is a score they generate. That's like, say it's AdWords, Corey. It's a score that generates like money, right? And now this video has this much Google cash and it's bidding this, you know, through the math. And now there's a video there. And then, so like trending topics, right? When a trending topic is coming up and it's a new SERP and they have to build it, they see all this damn content, right? How do they know what the best thing is to put up there? It's not based on topic. It's not based on anything other than like, so how do they, I'm not even going to say what I think. I'm going to say, how do they decide what goes up in a new SERP when it's a new trending topic? and they have to take it from video, images, books, shopping. They have all these platforms, and they need to build a SERP, and they need to build a query intent. How do they do that? Open-ended question to everybody here. I'm going to hide this because it's hiding Clint's beautiful face.
Hey, there's Clint.
There he is.
Hey, how you guys doing?
So
I think they're using CTR and they're doing CRO. So a new trending topic, everyone is looking for it, and then they all start clicking over to the video tab. There's signals of the math right there. Hey, I need to put videos up.
Absolutely.
Then if it transitions over to the new meme that they made out of it, and they'll start putting an image carousel up there. And I think that's how that they figure that part out.
They absolutely do, and there's confirmation that they do from like mouth, and they that's exactly how they do it. Of course, I'm not claiming to know anything about the math behind it and how they do all of that. I mean, I have ideas, and I'm not going to say it. They are doing it. Google is it's not a search engine. It's not a recommendation engine, and it is kind of like a curation engine, but a CRO is a great way to put it, I think, Clint. CRO is a really good way to put it. And I think that that's a good way for people to tie in what Core Web Vitals potentially could become or will become, depending on it, on what they take with that direction, because the implication of what they can see on a website, I'm not saying if they get broken up in Apple, all this crap, there's other things that can happen in the world, right? It's not just Google. But they have absolutely been using this kind of information on their own platform for a long time. So the math is there. And if they're saying, hey guys, here's 3 of the things we're going to look at when we do this, I think it's pretty important for people to understand like how they sort their own SERPs is my thing. Because it potentially has implication on how they sort all the SERPs, which is why scraping is such an important thing in understanding what the SERP looks like, in my opinion. So, but I don't know, it's interesting. It'll be an interesting conversation at a table in September for sure. What have you been working on this week, Clint?
Oh, just writing schema.
You are
writing schema and optimizing content. So that's it.
I thought about doing that, but then I decided a better option would be to take a soldering iron and stick it through my hand. So that's what I do. That's what I prefer to do.
Here comes Fletch. So, Fletch, you joined us. You finally finished chewing that.
Yeah.
Higher than eggs and bacon.
Bacon I had to get into.
Yeah. You had to slaughter the hog. So
Right.
That's right. Dress out the pig a little bit.
Yeah.
We got a basic question. Let's do this. Sorry for the blocks here. I'll hide the screen for a second because I know everyone wants to see everyone's face. Basic question. What do I get out of the Crux dashboard that I cannot get out of the Core Web Vitals and GSC? I use the Core Web Vitals report every few days. Can I point the Chrome user experience report? So the Crux report has some really cool shit, like navigational based stuff that you can pull out. There's a ton you can pull out of the Crux report, dude. And I think it's time for people that don't realize that there's stuff to look at, and there might be potentially things that you want to monitor from your on your website, because this is their data. This is what they have, right? This is what we don't know what they're doing with it. We can make guesses on what they're doing with it, but they've been looking at this for years, and they've had access to this for years. In campaigns, I'll see, and Ted said it really in a good way last week. He was talking about emergent factors. I kind of call them dependent factors, but there are things that validate, right? Like traffic and a backlink. To me, a backlink's always been about traffic. What do you think? I mean, I'm interested to hear how everyone has understood what a backlink is supposed to be and what PageRank is supposed to measure when they started looking at the different PageRank like math. Like, what do you think their intent was to do with that? Was it to just say backlinks or what was it?
For me, you're probably asking the wrong guy, because I'm still ranking pages with GSA search engine ranker. So
well, so are we. And
Rub
but
it
see,
in.
that's the math. What I mean is the math. So the math is they started the math for a reason. Like they made the math to emulate something, and I'm wondering what you guys think that
it's
was.
an estimation of like, so if there's traffic coming through the link, isn't that what validates a link anyway?
They initially did it from when they first started Google, they initially thought of it as like a citation, citing your source.
Yeah.
from that perspective. So that's when they were just doing the most links wins, because the most citations wins, and that's how professors measure dick size, right? By whoever's been cited the most, and that's the world that they came from. So that's where they got it.
And I think now it's pretty much the same. However, they've added the extra element of anchor text relevancy. And then not just the anchor text relevancy of what's pointing directly at your site, but what's pointing at that page that's linking to your site. So I think a good link if a link has traffic, that's awesome. That just makes that link cooler for me, right? It's great because it's bringing in
sprinkle on top.
Exactly, it's bringing in the juice and it's bringing in some extra people love. That's awesome.
Don't bring in the dirty juice.
I mean, I've ranked in some of the hardest niches in the industry, and I'm doing it without links that have traffic. So to say links with traffic is what's winning, I mean, to me, I think links, if you can get links that generate traffic, you're being smart because you're generating traffic outside of Google. So if Google changes something and screws a little bit up, it's not necessarily going to hurt you as much. But
let's be very clear. Backlinks do not need traffic to be beneficial. That's not what anyone here is saying at all. That's not the
I don't need shoes to run, but it fucking helps.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that that you're saying it's a requirement. Just remember that I've listened to you as a third party for quite some time. Yeah, and the way you present it, and then the way Corey presents it, it sounds like I need to have traffic for my link to be good. It has to have traffic, and it's got to send things through it, right? So a novice who may or may not have played around like you guys do with some of the software and bending the rules a little bit on link building won't understand that you're saying a link with traffic is awesome because it creates these other opportunities that a link created by GSA Seer might not necessarily give you.
And that is very true. But what's important to understand too is I've watched over since they started rolling out, on the 24th, 26th, they had something happened on the 24th. It might have been tied to the link spam stuff. It looks like it was tied to something else that we're not talking about today. But with PageRank, going back to that, and this update actually showed sites linking out, continuing to go up in rank, while the sites receiving the link were dropping because Google can make the determination if that link actually should pass anything to this page. So the traffic is not necessarily directed at the link, but one thing that is important to understand is PageRank was written to estimate the probability of a link being clicked on so that someone goes to the site. So it's always been about user experience. It's always been about the traffic of the link. They've always done the math that way. That doesn't mean that it was looking at it. It was an estimation of it. And so they've always been writing for this day and for the days that are coming. They've always been writing for user experience and for empathy, essentially, is how I look at it. So empathy is what they want to accomplish, because if they can understand empathy, then they can do predictive search a hell of a lot better, right? And so this is where it is. And it's not a matter of if or, but they did write it, and it's written so that the math looks at the probability of a link being clicked on. And that's where they get the value of the link. And that's why it's about the split of how many links are on a page in the original algorithm. There's just a lot there that is written about what's the probability that someone's going to use this link. That's why I always loved Eric Ward when he was around, because he always built links based on traffic, even though it was never a factor whatsoever at the time. And I do think defensible traffic is very important. Building links with traffic is very good. You do not need that right now. You do not.
Yeah, I would say too, you don't need traffic to your links. All I was getting at was that the whole idea behind links was that traffic was going to go through them. And that's what I think, it still influences ranking signals, is that, whoever's placing a link is doing so on the interest of their own readers, saying, here's a great read over here. Now, sometimes people may never even click on that. Maybe nobody even visits the page except for the bots. But I think that that was the whole idea behind looking at the value of links after they transitioned from looking at them as just like a citation to, well, these are actually part of user experience. Somebody who owns this content is directing their readers to another piece of content, which now just like functions as a validation. It passes along trust rank. And I'm not as concerned at all really with the traffic coming from the link or even the page that it's on. The biggest thing that I look at is like, does the actual domain itself have some traffic coming to it? That to me, I think is more important than just looking at the actual page itself and then throwing some bot traffic, to it. I just want to make sure that the website is actually ranking for some of its own keywords. When I have a link coming to it, it does a lot better.
If I'm going to spend effort other than like in a list with a tool, then there's going to be a reason I take it. But for me, it doesn't need to necessarily even be topical at all. And we have certain things. The way I look at it is if it's a topical page, you can use a branded anchor. And if it's not a topical page, then you should put some context in the anchor and make it a little bit contextual. And it really depends on where it is in your tier structure. And
I use Corey's exact model. So if I'm paying money for links, I use Corey's model.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this page, is the site ranking for a bunch of keywords, and does the site have traffic? If the answer is no, then you give me a free link or we're just pound sand. I don't have anything.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Like there's a reason to pay for something, and then there's a reason to hit it with a list, basically.
Well, one of the things that like I come back to, like a link is the way a human uses the internet, right? We click on stuff and it takes us to new stuff that we might find more interesting and valuable, right? So like I try to come at this, like while I do the technology and understand the algorithm and all that kind of thing, I try not to forget about humans and how they use the web. And the way most of us use the web most of the time is by clicking on links, whether they're in a SERP or whether they're on a page or a different website that refers over to us. And so in that way, you can kind of start to engineer and think about like helpful links that help people navigate over to content that's going to be more at the root of the problem they think they have or where they are in the journey, so to speak. And so like, while you don't have to have traffic, like the purpose of a link is for a human to navigate it. It just so happens to be crawled as well, right? And that's how Google uses it as a proxy. But the functionality of an A tag is for a human to click on it and know what they're going to find on the other end of that thing. So like if you kind of start there and start with a human in mind, you can certainly do a lot of stuff, with GSA or with whatever you're doing that's putting links out there that Google will use as a proxy to say that page is more important, right? It's more valuable to a potential human. Even if they are not on that page and clicking that link, we want to display them more prominently in the SERPs, right? And so that's kind of the nature of the way I look at SEO is like, what are the factors you can kind of push on a little bit more for Google to display your content more prominently and in front of more people to get more of those clicks. To do that, you can go with pages that don't get traffic and have enough links, because links, the way the algorithm is working and has worked since I've been doing this, it's really like there's no way Google is going to start thinking about links less than something else, because links are how humans navigate the internet and the web, right?
Oh, no, and it's really interesting because like if you watch different markets, there are markets that are directory markets, right? That their population in those countries like straight up don't use Google, they use directories, and Google understands it. They're advanced enough to understand that, okay, this in the US, and this is what part of this will happen with this link spam update and why some people haven't seen what they've lost or aren't going to see it because they build differently than other markets. But this is why it's important to understand like the core web vitals is an indication of something. Google is not a search engine, they are a reference engine, and they like to give the people what they want. They like to put the links up. All they are is a directory of links that's sorted, right? Okay, so they're sorting links and they're recommending stuff to people. They're using a lot of different tech to do that. In certain markets, what you see is that when tactics or when the updates come out and they roll some of the US stuff into other markets that are different languages, or they roll it into, you know, other English markets, and new math is in those markets, you start to see major sites start to drop and then come back up. They'll do this. They'll start to, because Google has to understand the market. And if something in the US is a fact, it doesn't mean it's a fact over in Iceland or whatever, right? And if in Iceland, everyone uses a directory and that's how they navigate, then there's a reason for Google to make a directory important. In the US, going and spamming your site into a bunch of directories, that was what we did, 12 years ago, 13, 14 years ago, I don't know. I remember just doing a lot of
the good old days.
Yeah,
last year. Yeah.
And
Last
so
year.
I'm seeing it right now very, very prominently in a lot of markets where the stuff from the US is rolled out into, and you can see it all over. It's like some of the UK people are saying it on Webmaster World. It was really interesting. Like they're freaking out about things that like we freaked out about a year ago, or we freaked out another time. Not so much the UK as some of the other markets that are not English, but now that those are there, like all of a sudden, okay, a backlink profile is no longer valued, and now, okay, now it needs to come back up, and they have to rescore everything when they do these types of things, because they do not have the ability, and there's no luxury of saying that it works in the US, so it works over here, or it works over there. Like they can't do it. It's just not the same population, and they don't think the same. And that's why with all the multimodal stuff that's coming out right now, and all the vital web stuff that's coming out that they're talking about, we know they lie to us. We know they don't tell us everything. To think that there's just 3 factors that they're looking at, like all of that, when they can see everything and you can actually pull that data out of their API, it's silly to think that they're not looking at other things. Where are they using it? I don't know. When Ted talked about emergent factors, I do agree with him that titles change what happens. I mean, there's factors. Every factor on a page is different in my market than it is in your market, because those markets definitely, the users behave differently, and there's different conversion points. And so that's what they're trying to get to. And so I think people are going to get hung up on, like what I did talk about the render, right? I am seeing the render be an issue for us in a couple markets, but I think that getting hung up on technical issues, going back to that article, let's go back to that article. Getting hung up on technical issues is going to make people like miss a lot of what they can do with their actual page. I think that it's going to distract a lot of people. I mean, what are your thoughts about Core Web Vitals, like at a base level? Anyone, Clint?
I don't know. I might tank the whole purpose of the shows because I think
it's okay, because I think that there's a double-edged sword, and I can believe that they're bullshit. I can see deeper than it and say, okay, this correlates here, but I can't tell you what's happening.
so.
Yeah, let's hear it, Clint. Drop it.
Yeah, I've been providing page optimization services for years now. I make $12,000 to $15,000 a year optimizing people's WordPress sites, and I think that the hysteria, the hype, the luster that the talking heads and the crap websites like Search Engine Journal have given to Core Web Vitals is so entirely overblown that it's ridiculous. That people are blowing money left and right trying to chase this metric that
they are
not.
It's not a metric you should chase. And here's the thing. This is why I agree with you. It's a shiny object to say, look over here. Look at this shit right here. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's something
and it's not,
that's what I think.
I got to be a little bit fair to the talking heads though, right? Because these people are people that work for really large websites. They're working at an enterprise thing. Yeah. And it's hard for them to do stuff that, say, you and I would do on a local website, for example. Absolutely. SEO is easier on a local website to implement than it is on an enterprise website. So they have to find these things they can do to enhance the scale of the website. So think about yourself as an SEO for Amazon, and you have to find something that you can apply to all of those without screwing up Amazon.
Those fuckers are good at cloaking, bro. Like Brad and I have fought them tooth and nail with our canonicals.
Yes.
Amazon. When you're doing like SEO for products in Amazon and you're not
Amazon
likes, you're fighting them directly, and they will screw you, bro. They're smart dudes, man. They
really ask Holly.
Yeah,
I bet. Yeah. We were. Speaking of GSA SER, that used to be perfect for Amazon.
So my point is, we go to these sites, we talk to the talking heads and all that stuff, and they're all giving SEO advice from a enterprise level, and then people are trying to apply it into local business and stuff.
Well,
and it wasn't until David.
I like that. I was talking to somebody. Someone was on the show that was kind of just lurking at one point in the audience, and there's someone that I know that is a murderous SEO, like a real black hat SEO, very murderous SEO. And people were talking about ranking this local site or this or that local site. I get this message basically like, that's not SEO, dude. Like that, like what are they talking? You know, like it's kind of, but I'm not saying it's not SEO. I'm not claiming it's not, because I've done local, and we've done local to a very large scale, to the tunes of thousands and thousands of listings. We look at local different than SEO looks at local because of the way we run it. And so we look at it from a strategy standpoint. But really, when I step out, and I've stepped out of the top level markets recently into some other campaigns, and I'm starting to remember, like, SEO can actually be almost like set and forget, dude. Like, depending on what the competition levels are, like, and it's like, when you stay in certain areas and you stay in certain competition levels, you start to forget like what actually is happening in certain places. So yes, their SEO, that like what they have to sell to their C people is extremely different than what a solo or smaller shop SEO needs to do. It's extremely different.
And if you niche down, you get into the habit of niching down is awesome, because you can create this template of work, write your SOPs, and do the same thing for everybody, and it's easy and it takes 10 times less time.
Yep.
But the problem is when you niche down, in my opinion, is if you niche down, you lose sight of all the things that are changing around you. And then if you get challenged out of something outside of your niche, you have no freaking clue what to do. And I think that's why I think I resonated really well when OMG launched. Like, I was following OMG when OMG was a fucking PDF file with videos embedded into it.
I did that. Yeah, that's yeah, $47 or something. I think.
Yeah.
And I saw afford that back then.
Yeah, the OTO was like $2,000. I was like, fuck those guys.
Yeah, I just want this video book. I'm happy.
It was good, Greg.
But the way that they teach, and not so much today, but the way that they're teaching it was generalist SEO. So these are the fundamentals. Now go out and find the rest of this stuff. And then I met Kyle and I met Dory, and then the SEO testing. So now my thing is bigger, and I'm reaching into more things. And then you meet a guy like Ted and Mike, and then they get into super nerd shit. So there's so many levels to SEO, what you're talking about. And in this case, in Core Web Vitals, I think it's not even.
So
if your site is loading like complete and utter garbage, and then you fix it and it works right, you're going to see a ranking boost and say, look, I did Core Web Vitals and it improved my ranking.
And we all know it's a different thing than dude. I mean, honestly, like, that was why I brought up the render thing. I honestly don't think that it's everyone's going to have to go out and do certain things with their site. What I didn't say is those render things also tie into affiliates. It ties into different things that can be factors as well, right?
And you also didn't mention, and I brought this up when you were talking about that, was that Google was broken from May to mid-June, early July. So the Googlebot was going through and doing their initial run and then not coming back and hitting the JavaScript. So if your site was based off a lot of JavaScript, your rendering and cache looks screwed up. So
this wasn't, and this is actually a different, this was a different issue, but yes, there are so many technical factors that are out there. And what I think really I want people to understand about the Core Web Vitals, they say it themselves, these three things that they've talked about, this is not it. I personally think the page experience update, the course, I think it's all, it all is the same thing. But I think that this shifting Core Web Vital target that they did it's a pretty shiny object to look over here while they're doing a whole bunch of interesting shit with the stuff that they're doing right now. And so understanding what those three things are is important because it indicates how much data they do have. And again, in September, we're going to talk about the process of just leveraging that to rank sites. And you really do not, like we said at the beginning, I don't know if you were here, Clint, we were looking at one of the reports from the core, the core Web Vital report, right? I will tell you, most of the sites that I have ranking in very competitive markets have a shit experience, dude. Like they do, and I'm not going to spend time taking care of that. But there are elements in there that I will kind of plays on what you said, is that there, like if there's a JavaScript issue and that's going to be a problem, it's going to block Googlebot from rendering. This is the kind of things that we will fix, something that's going to have an issue on our campaign. We're not chasing it for the sake of chasing it, right? It's never going to be something that I think people need to chase because the data is going to be in the SERP. We have tools to get that data out and rank with. So, I mean, that's kind of where I see that update. I think
I can agree with that because of the things that we saw change, right? So how they went after the Amazon affiliate links.
Yeah.
Craig and Chris in their show said that I was crazy, but we've tested it. And you put an Amazon link and you don't put no follower sponsored on there.
No, they absolutely have detected certain. They are able, and that's a very obvious. That's a very obvious one that they can see. Like they obviously can see that. No longer is that a flag. Oh, there's a lot of here. Let's manually review this stuff. They are now having this stuff incorporated in the map for sure.
And the only way they can do that is to go after the obvious ones: Amazon, ClickBank, all the affiliate.
I was going to say the largest ones is who they're going to have to go after.
Yeah, they're not going to go after you guys. You do an affiliate program, they're not going to go after your affiliate.
Would you like to join our affiliate program?
It's the easily identifiable flags that they. So the way I look at it, what they've done is they've taken some of the easily identifiable flags that used to go over to the manual team, and they've just put math around it. They've incorporated some of that into it, dude. And that's, I mean, we know what these things are. It's not like new things. Like if you see certain sites that use certain tactics and those sites drop, and that's what they're doing. Like you can start to see these patterns, and it's not hard to know when something is bought or sold if people aren't smart about it. I mean, there's stupid things that are on page, like right for us, stupid things that are like, buy this link. There are things where I've seen them detect certain context or certain relationships for the page and devalue the links coming out, not devalue the site itself, is what I've seen in some of these markets. But
one of the things that comes with this is just for, people listening, whoever they might be in their own, development and getting involved with SEO, is you don't have to start in these really, tough or challenging or complicated markets. Like with local, like just doing the simple stuff right, you're going to get wins for your client. Their customers are going to be happy with what you do. Like just start kind of like wherever you are, right? And these are things that are relevant to potentially, enterprise level clients and things like that, which I've worked on a few times. But even with like huge clients, like just getting some of the major factors on site and on page correct in a way that works for a human who visits the page to understand what it's about and have a call to action they can click on and do that kind of thing. Like there's so much work that you can do in that space that you might not ever have to touch some of this more, nuanced and sometimes complicated stuff with like user experience, because there just aren't people who are even getting the basics and the foundation right. Like, like the big gun client I worked on, right? Their on page and on site had a ton of holes in it. We just fixed that and they got, twice as much traffic. Like there's big enterprise level clients that have tons and tons of content on the web, and the crawl is not helping Google run the math in a way that has clarity. Like there's tons and tons of sites where if you just help the crawl and the human experience that page in a clear way, you can get a big win for whoever you're working with, and it's going to lead to better conversion as well. So like there's a lot of this that I look at as like, okay, well, where am I going to live and what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do day to day? And you know, I haven't had to get out of the easy wins. Like, it's just like kind of get the easy wins. Like, kind of like, this is what I keep talking about. Like with strategy is like do the things, build on what you know, and get that stuff involved.
So
And you
Fletch,
might not
on
ever have to
strategy there, and I want to make a point, is that even at the enterprise level, like if you actually look at it from the strategic side and you look at it, then you can actually make enterprise level SEO feel like it's doing local SEO if you're doing it properly. And I think that it's very interesting to me when people talk about intent in search and this factor and all that, because to me, the intent part is the strategy part of knowing who to go after and what to do for your SEO. And when you do that properly, you begin to have the content you need that hits the right queries that you need. And you don't have to compete with the same people that you would have if you just went in and did your research like everyone else does. And
yeah, honestly, that's kind of the place I exist in for the most part in my day-to-day work is doing actual keyword research and trying to understand the human and getting content up that's going to connect those things. And you know, we're working on like I've got access to a couple hundred clients, like monthly SEO clients. Most of them are local, but like just going through there and like spending a lot more time on the front end than you likely have before with keyword research, intent research, avatar research, and understanding kind of people and what they're looking for and getting content up in front of them that helps them start to answer that question that leads to the next question and eventually a buying decision. Like there's a huge right now, from what I've seen, a huge opportunity to just do that well, figure out your systems, processes. And like most of my time I spend online doing SEO is spent on the front end before we've built links and content in figuring out what the kind of body of work this website needs to be about. Right. And whether it winds up on the website or in tier 1 with a PBN or quality guest post or whatever, like the amount of time I spend doing keyword research and stuff like that now is a much greater percentage than I have in the past. And it seems to be doing really well in understanding kind of what we need to put in place on the web, like engineered in such a way that the target pages that we want to rank.
There's something funny, Fletch, that happened in like 2010. It was like when the whole term defensible traffic came out. Maybe it was 2008 or something like that. I don't know. But they made this split. It's when Moz decided they weren't an SEO firm anymore, and they decided that they were an inbound marketing firm or whatever. When they split content marketing into its own thing away from SEO and decided that those are two separate things, I think that it caused this like lack of understanding that get the SEO tech stuff down and do it right, get your link building right, and then start pushing out. Like it should all be related. And I think that the divide that has been created there between marketing and SEO is a problem. Like SEO shouldn't exist in a bubble, right?
That's the enterprise SEOs I was telling you about, though, right? Because
exactly,
if I'm writing a blog for Amazon, guess what? I don't have to really think about all the Jimmy crack stuff. I'm gonna get traffic anyway. So now I'm not an SEO. I'm a content marketer.
Being nice and saying enterprise SEO, I just say white hat, dude. Yeah. So I mean, like it's a difference in mentality and going over and reading the questions on Moz versus jumping into like a Discord or a Telegram and talking to a bunch of SEOs, dude. I mean, that's the difference that we're talking about, where there's people in there that literally are asking like how to increase their domain authority, right? What the hell is domain authority? You know, like why are you talking about how to increase your, and I mean DA, I don't mean the actual domain, the authority of the domain or the E or whatever you want to call it.
You're talking about the metric.
Caring about the Moz metric. Like I see it all the time and it's kind of like, wow, it's interesting sometimes to see how I have to think that it was done on purpose by people in a room at some point to separate this because they left and they failed and came back. But you know, it's interesting to me to watch the evolution over the last 20 years of like it going from like dudes like being hackers online doing what they can do to make money to like turning into an actual business.
Well, if you want to get the enterprise level clients who pay substantially better than a local client, then you're going to have to make that shift, at least on that campaign.
Yeah.
It's been cool to beat out like enterprise level firms like Oracle and things for campaigns and different things in the past.
And we were being as enterprise level as we knew how to be as well. You know, I'm surprised we got
like,
that contract. Me and you come in with shaved heads and shit. They're like, you don't dress like that every day. You know, I'm very uncomfortable at the moment.
They knew.
Sleeveless shirts like Clint's rocking today.
Yeah, gun show. Yeah, except it was like a button-up shirt, except it was sleeveless. So it was hillbilly deluxe. So.
Dude, and it's very interesting when you've lived both sides of that, and you've worked and you continue to work both sides of that, like doing some of the things I've done in the past and seeing how you can incorporate that for like a major corporation in the USA legally is actually really interesting. And to do those campaigns in that way, it raises eyes and it gets attention. So there is a place for it, but it's very hard to put your foot into that door. I don't think
the thing that I loved about it was, like Clint said, writing for Amazon, all the hard work's already done for you. You know you're going to get traffic. You know, like the authority of the website is there. We've just got to nudge it. You know, and that's it. Small tweaks, like tweak. Like, how much time between the two of us did we spend each month on that campaign, Mike? Realistically,
dude,
like 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, 20 minutes, and we took that thing from like 2
But
million.
yeah, the amount of benefit that they
week.
saw, it was astronomical.
Yeah.
So the only reason why we don't have that client anymore is because of COVID. They had how many brick and mortar stores, and then COVID hit, and they furloughed like their entire online marketing department, and essentially furloughed us at the same time because they were just went into contraction mode. So,
but that's why it's important to understand it all. Like, and that's why it's easy to. That's why I think data is so important. Like, that's why I think SEO is data, because if you're not, like you said it at the beginning or when you came in, Clint, is that if you're not paying attention and you just got your head down, like it'd be easy to take a client like that or something and stop doing affiliate work, stop doing all this other fun stuff and just take money from someone and not pay attention to everything else. Then you're in the situation everyone's in right now where they've got traffic leaking out the door because they don't understand what's going on. They're doing SEO like they did when they started working on that project, and they haven't branched out into other things and see how the whole process works, right? But it's cool when they're easy tweaks like that, for sure. So I guess we should talk about approach B right there before we go. I think we're pretty much there. But I guess optimize and debug. The important thing, I think, is the loop. And I'm going to go back to the loop before we leave. It's never done. The loop is what is extremely important in all SEO. Is approach C right here, right? Just make sure that you don't stop and continue to make sure your website is working the way it should. One of the biggest issues I see right now for people are that they have put up stuff, they've done things, and they're in a market that's evolving, and their site's not evolving with the market.
What I miss, everyone's laughing.
What's that?
What I miss, everyone's laughing.
The door slammed. It sounded like a baby said fine.
I heard
Oh no, it's my kid. He came in, he needed we send him out with a cell phone now into the neighborhood so he can call and tell us where he's at. So they come in, I'm like, I'm on the show, and they're like staring at, like, they just keep fucking talking.
You had a Google crawl in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
Looking for certain information that you didn't provide.
And I couldn't hear him. I was like, I'm still on the show, and they're like, and then he keeps, so I like take my headphone off. I was like, what do you need? Well, I'm supposed to go get a haircut, and then I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. And he was circling around to, mommy told me to get the phone. I'm like, why didn't you just fucking ask me for that in the first place? But then I give it to him. But they slam the door because they like to leave it like just cracked and not shut it hard enough. And then like, so I make sure that they slam it.
What's that noise again?
So yeah. It was the bed. Anyway, sorry.
That hour mark, which means now you always got to hit that hour mark. That's all you got.
Do I get paid overtime for these 3 minutes, Mike?
Never.
Time and a half?
That content should be coming out. That all got over and everything. So some interesting shit.
Now you're talking about organizing the SEO industry into some sort of, getting organized and getting benefits and all that kind of thing. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Dude,
I'm joining the union.
Yeah.
I saw something, and there was like in San Diego, like a school, like, I think it was San Diego State University now has a digital marketing like class line.
They're all coming out with them now,
Crazy,
especially
dude.
after like when COVID hit. I on Facebook and shit. It was all kind of digital marketing from UNC Chapel Hill and shit like that, and do it all online.
You could find out all the Fauci stuff then.
Yeah, that's
See
right.
what's going on? Yeah, be on the
It's,
inside.
Yeah, I'll know before you fuckers. Yeah, Corey knows all about Fauci stuff. He was taking a suppository for some horse tranquilizer before the show. I don't know what he's talking about.
That's a euphemism for something else, but yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't tell me. So,
Hey, Derek, fuck you.
what about my hair, Derek? I've got hair now.
Yay.
At least he can tie a tie, Mike.
Derek started a new campaign. He's going around with a sign. He said, I will work your core web vitals for food.
Yeah.
I need to figure out what that. Hey, Derek, what was that whiskey we drank together in that late night outing we had?
Redbreast?
You, me, and Marfolio. No, he
Whistle
brought
pig.
some Canadian
Oh, yeah.
Crown?
vanilla flavored whiskey. It was so damn.
He's like,
good.
my boyfriend loves it.
Yeah, those
I
dogs.
did need to point
Those
out
dogs
that
brought it in
Craig
on a
is
sled.
scared.
He's got.
Craig
Yeah.
did say he's coming for sure because I posted on Facebook and accused him of.
I really think he's scared. I mean, he kicked a wall just to get out of the fight, to break his toe. I mean, it was Crown. It was Vanilla Crown, probably.
Yeah,
I think
he's
he really was.
No, it
Crown,
wasn't
dude.
Crown. No, it was something else.
I remember that Jimmy thing.
I drank away a lot of memories, but that was
Yeah.
not one of them.
I remember
I'm
that
looking
was
forward to
that was my hangover night. So I came out and everyone's drinking the Crown or whatever, passing around. I'm like, no, I'm done for the weekend. Thank you.
I think it'll be fun in September to get this.
I know it'll be fun.
Going, dude. I am gonna drop this and I am gonna pitch the event right now. So
NFG2021.com. Come out. Derek, are they allowing sleds across the lines right now, across the border? Or are you going to have to take a snowmobile? Don't know.
I think you can get down here, but he can't go back home.
NFG 2021, Mike, not NFG SEO 2021.
God damn it, Brad. That's what I had first, and I thought you said the other thing.
No, that's just what the event's called. I tried to make it easier on you. Let fewer
You
characters.
don't make anything easy on me, baby.
Yeah, I always make it hard. What are we talking about?
That's what she said.
That's what
to go with
she
that.
said.
There was only air.
Here it is.
He'll be coming by parachute.
It's is that tool you're working on, Clint? Is that available, or will that be available? Like, what's up with that?
Is there a skill?
Rank here, yeah, it's there. You guys, they can use it. I'm still working some bugs on it and doing videos and kind of getting it so that.
Give it to Mike. He'll break it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I will break it on my ear. No, we need to talk about that then and figure it out. Actually, I saw some stuff in the search last night that I wanted to ask you directly about. So I might hit you up here in a little bit after.
Probably
this.
has to do with schema.
It does not. It's not schema, actually. I think I think it's more than just schema. So I know everyone looks at it.
All I am
on
to
his
is
head,
schema,
so
aren't I?
some JSON there. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for jumping in, Clint. We will see you next week. Same
Sorry,
time,
we talk
same bad
over each
channel.
other.